Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Bros love reality TV. Have you ever noticed your boyfriend or husband in the background while you're trying to wind down and enjoy The Housewives? They linger in the back of the room and ask questions, offer their opinions, but when you ask them to take a seat and watch with you, suddenly they're not interested. Well, here at Bros and Shows, we are tired of perpetuating that dudes don't love reality TV, because guess what? We do, and it's time we erase the stigma that comes with it. And we cover it all, from Real Housewives to The Bachelor, from Vanderpump Rules to The Traitors, and we're ready to give you our takes. Bros and Shows, a podcast from the bros for everyone, for whoever wants to listen.
I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.
Hi. Yoo-hoo, big summer blowout. Don't, you'll put me to sleep. You're gonna zen me too hard. Do you want to knock me out? We got work to do.
I was seeing how long I could go.
I do think that like there's just a certain portion of this podcast that is our audition for Foley artistry.
I would love that. You
Me
know
too.
that.
I think that's like every actor and everyone who works in I think the two jobs, if you would be like, hey, you still have to work in the industry, but like pivot. I think the jobs that all of us would say, without knowing what goes into them, obviously, would be Foley artistry and music placement.
When I was in school, I went to a Foley artist place, and it's like a big one where they do huge
It's
productions.
like a Dave and Buster's, but like,
yes,
it's so cool.
it was amazing. I had so much fun, and I was like, can we just spend more time here? And also, it was like a late night, like after hours thing where
Oh, cool.
it was just like if you wanted to go, but it was highly recommended that you go. And I was like, okay, but like, can I stay longer? So much fun. It's in Santa Monica.
Oh, that makes sense. One of those big like airport hangar style.
Mm-hmm. But it was very high end, like very high end, very clean, very modern, very aesthetically pleasing.
Well, that's why it's in Santa Monica, not North Hollywood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
North Hollywood has the same kind of lots, but they've got more of a porny kind of
Dusty.
feel. They're musty and they're dusty.
Mm-hmm.
And you just walk in and you go, ooh, the air is damp here.
Yep.
And if you like worked out, they would be, might want to put your clothes outside because they're not going to get dry in this building. I don't know anyone who works in like Foley, but Mats has a friend who works in like music placement, and he did music placement in Claws. And I was like, my friend's on that show. And I literally was like, I have so many music ideas. And he was like, here's the thing. I get it. I love music too. Most of it is about your budget. And I was like, oh. But he's like, yeah, it's not as creative where he was at that time. Like, and I'm sure if this has been a year since I talked about it. I'm sure he's advanced in his career, even if he's still at that same place. But like the level he was at the time, it was like there's not a lot of creativity that gets to go into it. It's like, oh, here's your budget.
Claus had some great songs on it, though.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, I haven't seen the show, but my friend is on it, A. And B, on Twitter, people used to talk about like great music for it. And then I would see like clips of it. And I was like, I think this looks great. Good job. Anyways, welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me, podcast where we give you wonderful, amazing, life-changing advice that will change your life. And there are multiple different ways that you can get some advice from yours truly. That is, you can call in, leave a voicemail at 310-694-0976. You can write an email to meghanpodcast@gmail.com. You can fill out the form that we have listed in the description and the show notes, as well as in the links in our bios. You can also send us a DM over on Instagram. So for the written version, keep it under 300 words. For the audio, you can also email us an audio recording to meghanpodcast@gmail.com. You can do that if you're an international listener, because our Google number only works if you are in the United States.
The form also has a slot to upload the audio.
Perfect.
Too.
So yeah, if you want to hear your voice, we love a voice call. It's very fun, a little theatrical. You don't have to worry about it, getting tied to you. It is all anonymous, we promise. We've even had people use voice changers on it, and it works totally fine. But you do have to be 18 or over, and we need to know how old you are. Not just 18 or over. Let us know your age. It determines the kind of advice that we give you. It helps us know what life stage you are in, and give us all relevant details about a relationship, how long you've been together, friendship. You're like, our friendship has been through the ringer for the last couple of years. 3 examples, like an essay. Give me your thesis. Back it up. Example 1, 2, 3. Conclusion. What do you need our advice on? And, if it's like, hey, I'm really sensitive, let us know. If you're like, hey, I'm looking to be chaotic, we'll go for that. Sometimes we offer you like the chaotic advice as well as like the emotionally sound therapized advice. But if you are searching for one or the other, let us know. And hey, we can give advice on a wide array of things. It really runs the gamut.
Good job, Megan.
Thanks.
Shoo-ba-doo, bop, bop, bop.
A squirrely-doop-up, squirrely-doop-doop, a shoo-ba-doop-ba-doo-wah, ta-kirsa.
Yes.
A scooba-da-boop-bop, a shoo-wah-ba-da-ba.
Boo-doo-boop-boop-boop-boop. Choo-ba-doo-boop-ah. Anyway, should we get into our first one?
I think we shall. This person is 30, she, her. I need your advice on solo travel and overcoming plane anxiety. I have big dreams of traveling all over the world, but I'm really scared of planes. I've only been on a couple flights and I panicked, like hyperventilating and weak at the knees feeling. I'm embarrassed by how I react, but I haven't figured out how to cope yet. I've sat next to family on those trips, so I'm not causing drama or being loud, interrupting others. I really don't want to draw attention to myself, so I can hide my panic well enough so the only person next to me knows. I try my best to just take deep breaths, and I took anxiety meds as needed, but it overpowered them, as in the anxiety. I don't drink, so I can't calm myself with alcohol or weed. I've got a flight in June for a friend trip, so I'll have people to hold my hand, but I want to get better at the flying part. I'm excited to go places, but knowing I have to fly usually puts a damper on the trip. Any suggestions would be great. Also, any places you would suggest to solo travel first? I know any place can be unsafe, but I am a petite woman, just for reference. Also, I'm a bit sensitive about this, so please go easy on me.
Did I write this?
Yeah, we've got a petite woman with a fucking fear of flying right in a house, motherfucker.
But I don't want to travel, so
No, she
I don't want to
really
see the
does not
world.
want to do solo travel. That is not it. But if you listen to our other episodes, you will have clocked that Melissa did make note that she had 2 good flights. Which, if you're brand new here, that is because Melissa does not like flying.
I hate flying, but I do go if needed.
She did almost drive.
I did almost drive. But that has to do with
the news. They were
the
making
news. Yeah. And
your
did
fears
you see
about
that there
flying.
was
Melissa, San Diego, 15 homes.
Yeah.
Horrific.
So, flying is terrifying. I don't know. For me, I like to be in control. So that's the thing, is like, I'm not the one in control. I try to think of like any turbulence. I'm like, oh, and this comes from an episode of The Nanny when they were flying, and Mr. Sheffield was like, oh, it's just a bump in the road. And that's what I try to put in my mind that it is. I have been someone that drank before, and then I realized it was making me more scared of flying. I was getting too paranoid. So my thing is, I put music on in my ears. This flight and the one going there, probably for the last year, I've only been listening to Cowboy Carter. I used to do I have Max Richter, who is a famous like music composer, but he has worked with the Sleep Center and come up with like these sleep, I think they're just called Sleep by Max Richter, and he has several different albums.
So like a Pavlovian response that you now associate it with like calmness.
Yeah. And so and he'll do like things at the Hollywood Bowl where like they have sleep cots out, and he'll have a whole band there, or not band, orchestra there playing the music, and everybody's in like a joint sleeping thing.
Yeah, so that's a little too far for me. I feel vulnerable sleeping. I feel vulnerable as in like, hey, we're all gonna get together here and we're going to sleep.
Yeah, it does exist, but that helps me calm down. Also, my inhaler. This is something that I have asthma, and by happenstance, it was like 3 flights ago, I was hyperventilating. And I was like, oh, wait, I have an inhaler. Forgot it this trip, but luckily the flight was smooth. Oh. I know. But like I puffed my inhaler. So maybe there's you know what? You can easily get inhalers from online doctors.
Also, more people need inhalers than they realize. When I went to the pulmonologist, he was like saying that because I was talking to him about you. I was like trying to get my friend to go because like she has asthma without a doubt. And he was like, oh, even if she doesn't have asthma, like she needs an inhaler to then figure out if she has asthma. And post COVID, he's like, I'm giving out inhalers left, right, and center.
Yeah. So that's something that's not going to make you anxious at all. And also because you take a deep breath with it, it helps calm. I also will stay up if it's a flight where I can stay up for 24 hours before. So I'm extra exhausted and just conk out on the plane. That works. I also like to be on the plane before everybody else if possible. So then I can settle in my seat and be a little bit relaxed. I like to have the window seat so I can be in control of the shade. That gives me something to be in control of. I can't read or do anything.
She knows how to read.
I can't read on the plane.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify.
Like, I do freak out and I just don't care what people think.
Yeah.
You just have to, like, if you're going to freak out, like, just do it. People are afraid of flying. It's a legit fear. The flight attendants know this. I've had them bring me, like, one of the vomit bags so I could just use it to take deep breaths in. Just be comfortable in your fear.
Yeah. So I was going to say that like for fears like this, exposure therapy is usually what works. This is a very expensive way to have exposure. That's what I was going to say. So like it's not going to be, it's not one of the things that like, it's not like a fear of water or something where it's like you can do this on your own time and pace. Like this is a hard way to do that. In the water, you have control of your swimming. That's the thing. The flying, I don't have control of the plane. So I guess if you want to learn how to fly a plane, maybe. Well, some people do that. They learn how to do it. I mean, I would say I do not have a fear of flying. I have had times on flights where I have felt scared and like felt fearful, but like it is not like a generalized thing. But I have anxiety. So when I'm like, and also when you have anxiety, being in a floating pill case in the sky is like the worst place to have it. So like it makes it ramp up. So I agree with Melissa in the sense that like an inhaler, anything about like physical like health symptoms can very quickly start to feel like fear and very quickly start to feel like your body only has so many responses. It's fight or flight. Yeah. It only, and so like you're in flight. That can go and like you can get that from anything. And so like for me, something like, and a lot of people take it for, you know, talking out loud or whatever, but like masking the physical symptoms of anxiety. I don't take beta blockers for that reason, but a lot of people do. Masking the physical symptoms can help you not get farther in the mental symptoms of it because it's not like, oh shit, am I starting to panic? I'm starting to feel like I'm going to panic. And that can become a whole issue in itself. So talking to a doctor for something like that, where it's like, oh, health things or things for me, like making sure I feel good when this starts to happen so I don't start making myself spiral even more, or it starts to feel like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Other thing I would say is noise canceling headphones. The sound of a plane can feel like Melissa said, like it can feel like something's going wrong. It's or like opposite for me. Oh yeah, but for some people, I need like turbulence. To hear what's going on. So I have those over ear. If you are somebody that like, if you don't want to hear this stuff, then yes, noise canceling headphones. But I need to hear
what, like if there's an emergency, I want to be able to hear it immediately. So I have like headphones that clip over my ear. They actually got them for running, but then I was like, oh, I can hear a lot more around me, but still hear what I need to hear through the headphones. So those are awesome. I can put a link in the show notes.
Knowing about like in those things, like how the situation, what's your best, like what's the best version of a flight for you? Like, does turbulence freak you out? Does the sounds of the plane freak you out? Does the lights of the plane, does people like seeing this? If it's like, I don't like seeing this stuff, IMAS. If it is like, and here's the part that you're not going to like that I have to say though. I do not think it is safe to solo travel with extreme, like crippling flight anxiety. Because if you are visibly, like, you're allowed, and like Melissa said, like, I think you need to embrace being afraid. I think you need to be okay. I think you need to be okay telling a flight attendant, saying, hey, I've got some anxiety about this. I've got a fear of flying. Just want to let you know. And like speaking that out loud so it doesn't feel like it's consuming you. And we can be in very vulnerable states like that. And solo traveling when you are, you know, I hope you always have great flights, but even if like a bad flight to you is like, you know, turbulence, or it was delayed. And so you're like, your body has been, again, like fight or flight for so fucking long that you don't necessarily make the most rational, wonderful decisions. And when you land, and then making sure that nobody is, all of these things that like, you have to be paranoid to solo travel. And I do not think when you have a fear of flying and your schedule is dependent on you getting on a certain flight at a certain time, and a lot of the time your safety depends on that. Like, I do not think solo traveling, I think that's like a huge, massive goal for someone who like, I want to see the world. I want to solo travel. Like, I think that seeing the world while having a fear of flying, I think is totally doable. I think you're really pushing yourself at this stage of your fear of flying to want to do a lot of solo travel. I just think that like, I don't know anybody, and I'm not trying to be discouraging, but like, I don't know anybody who has like a crippling fear of flying who like loves solo travel that includes flights. Cause like solo travel on a train, like doing those other things. But like, if you're trying to overcome a fear, you're putting yourself in a really vulnerable state publicly. And then you
don't have a support system with you.
And I think that's really scary, and people can take advantage of that. And I don't think that you should, and I say this not to be an asshole, even if you're like, well, I can mask it really well. You will not be able to mask it well enough. Some creep can pick up on, they can pick up on anything. They can pick up on, oh, this person has recently gone through a break. There's just like, it is just a way that if you end up in a situation where you're really nervous and stressed and desperate, someone being your picker can be off about like, is this person safe? Is this person not safe, or whatever? And then on top of that, I think like some of like the biggest advice people give when you have a fear of flying is anti-anxiety meds. I do not think you should drink. I do not think you should smoke weed, but anti-anxiety meds or sleeping pills. Like, and those are not, I do not think those are things that like are incredibly safe for you to be doing regularly while solo traveling.
Yeah. Yep. And
I think it's more important for you to travel and find people to travel with than to solo travel.
Find like one of those groups that's like a women's, they call it like a solo travel women's like groups or whatever. I see a lot of them on TikTok, but like they meet up and go places and like find somebody like wherever your home base is and like go with them. It doesn't necessarily have to be like somebody you know right now, but they're your travel buddy, somebody that's a jet setter like you.
Yeah. I just think that like to accomplish your goal of traveling the world is conditional on doing it solo while dealing with crippling plane anxiety. I don't think you're going to achieve your goal in a way that is going to be meaningful or safe for you. And I think that you can achieve that if you detach the solo aspect from it.
And I don't know if you like went to college, but my alumni group regularly does trips like with just alumni that you don't necessarily know the people. And they send out brochures like all the time. They do big trips. Like
fun.
That's actually how I went to, even though I wasn't quite an alumni yet, but when I went to Italy. Yep.
Oh, that is fun.
Because my mom's an alumni.
Yeah.
So.
I think also like looking into things that aren't flights.
Mm-hmm.
Like
if you live in the US, there's tons of things you can, we have a big ass country and there's a lot to do in different climates and different areas.
And I may not be a fan of boats, but you might be a fan of boats. You can take boats to other countries. Mm-hmm. You can take you have to take a boat eventually, but like you can take a boat to a train. You can do all of this other stuff that is not flights because it is a very real, legitimate fear. And I think like, I think now would be a really, I can understand how now would be a very hard time to parse together or parse through that fear when there's like a lot of legitimate concerns about the safety of air travel between like, well, what is like my anxiety fear brain? And then what is like actually like the reality of air travel at this current time?
Yep.
So neither of those things have to stop you from traveling and seeing the world. Might I suggest Arkansas? Beautiful place. I had some of the best food I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. Northwest Arkansas is pretty. If you like biking, they have trails that span across all of Walmart country, which is Northwest Arkansas.
And so many beautiful walking paths. Gorgeous.
A lot of hiking. There's good hiking. There's like waterfalls. You can further down in the state, you can go diamond mine hunting. I know you like a treasure hunt.
We gotta go.
There's hot springs.
We have those here.
Yeah, there's a legit city called Hot Springs.
Love it.
Yeah.
But best of luck. If you're not a part of our Patreon group, we have people from all over the world, and we have lots of people who also enjoy travel. So if you're looking for a travel buddy, or you're looking to like meet up with people in places, that's another good thing. If you like can't necessarily fly with a person, but like they meet you at the airport or whatever. So we've got a lot of people in our group who big travelers.
We're gonna take a break. When we get back, we'll get into the rest.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. We've talked about OneSkin before. Did you know your body starts accumulating senescent cells as early as your 20s? Also called, what are they called, Melissa?
Zombie cells.
These cells stop producing collagen and hyaluronic acid like they used to, and they start secreting an inflammatory substance that makes neighboring cells dysfunctional too. There is an answer for these zombie cells, though, and it comes from our friends at OneSkin.
Founded by an all-woman team of scientists, OneSkin is the first and only skin longevity company to target cellular senescence, a key hallmark of aging, with their proprietary OS1 peptide. OS1 is scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with the thinning skin that often comes with age. Don't just take our word for it, though. They've got over 4,000 five-star reviews for their full line of face, body, sun, and travel-sized products.
But if you want to take our word for it, know that we love them. We are using them constantly. The OS1, like the way it goes on, so easy, so simple. You notice a huge difference with them, and your skin looks great.
Yeah, I have become a fan of the Rich Eye Cream because it's like thick, but it's lightweight, and I can just easily use it as part of my routine.
OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started with 15% off using code BLAMEME at oneskin.co.
That's 15% off oneskin.co with code BLAMEME. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you.
Thank you to today's sponsor, HelloFresh. Fresh air, sunshine, and good food. That is what spring is all about.
That's my favorite thing about spring. All three of those.
HelloFresh makes it easier to fit quick, home-cooked meals into your schedule every week by curating delicious recipes like pasta primavera, chicken Dijon, and pecan-crusted trout, as well as over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats.
Every HelloFresh meal uses high-quality ingredients, including seasonal, fresh produce, and proteins that travel from the farm to your doorstep. Flexible deliveries that you can pause or skip when you need.
I have to be honest with you. We've worked with HelloFresh before. I have gotten many
years.
No, truly, and I've gotten countless HelloFresh boxes. This might be the menu that I have been like the most excited for. Like I cannot wait. I am getting the Mushu pork lettuce wraps. Oh, hello, yes. And then I guess I'm in a porky mood. Pork chops with a zesty green onion salsa. Never had like.
love that. These are things that like I would never think to cook myself. And also like, I don't know, pre-portioned, so easy and so delicious. I cannot wait to try everything.
Yeah, I'm getting the cheesy smothered mushroom chicken, which mushrooms and chicken are two of my favorite things.
And I love them together.
I do too. I've been actually using a HelloFresh recipe in my rotation for years. I'm also getting the balsamic glazed steak, which I can't wait.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love steak. And I feel like steak is like one of the pillars of warmer weather.
It is. It's very springy.
It is. It is. Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/BlameMe10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life.
1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied at discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
We are back, and it is time for the next one.
All right. Hi, I am 24 years old, she, her. Back in October, I got fired from my job that I've been at for 1 year full-time, an additional 4 months through an internship for making data accuracy mistakes back in March that didn't get noticed until August because I didn't double-check my work. My anxiety and depression got so bad it led me to make other mistakes in that 2-month period. After speaking to friends, family, therapists, and other professionals, they agree that there were some bad management issues. I've been in therapy since before then, but since the situation arose, my therapist thinks I have ADHD. She had explained that leaving structured environments like school and college can allow for ADHD symptoms to present themselves. Even though we've talked about it further, it has never felt like that diagnosis clicks with me. I've always been a great student and have excelled in school and college, so this situation was whiplash. I'm having a hard time trying to move on. I started a new job 4 months ago that I'm doing well, but it's a huge step back from what I was doing. I don't have any authority or any opportunity for creativity like I used to. Plus, there was a huge pay cut and I live in an expensive city. I'm fully an assistant and I don't like it. I've gotten on anxiety and depression medication since getting fired. I feel alone as everyone I know that has gotten fired has actually gotten laid off rather than fired for something they did. Any advice for my situation and to be able to move on? What do you suggest for exploring my ADHD diagnosis? Any tips for double checking your work and maintaining data accuracy?
I want to first say that if your therapist is just a therapist, they cannot diagnose you with ADHD. That can be like a theory that they like throw out there. If like none of the symptoms of ADHD resonate with you, and like there are lots of like specifically, there are lots of women who have like talked about their experience with ADHD, like late in life ADHD. There are people who like were very much on like the gifted track and did really well in school and who have ADHD. But like if those stories do not resonate with you, ADHD and anxiety and depression, like there's like a whole crossover with like all of those things. And if your meds are working and like things are going well, if it doesn't resonate with you, that might not, like, I don't necessarily think that that is worth your time and your money because like it's fucking expensive and it's to go through a whole testing process and all of that. If it just doesn't resonate with you and just a therapist has brought that up to you, because again, they cannot diagnose in that way. And like, they're not wrong. Like sometimes people who thrived with a lot of structure like that, and ADHD can present itself in so many different ways. People who thrived with structure like that, when they do not have that kind of structure, they flounder. Totally happens. But that also can happen to people who don't have ADHD. Like it doesn't have to be like this is another diagnosis that I have to kind of figure out. So if you want to, I'm saying it is expensive. It is time consuming. And most of the time, people who are pursuing a diagnosis and a testing of ADHD, it is because they look at the symptoms, they go, this is me. Like, this is so me. I really need help with this. And if you don't feel that way, I don't know that it's really worth your time and your money, especially because you took a pay cut. This last thing I'll touch on before Melissa gets into it, people will tell you they got laid off when they got fired for merit work. I know people who were gotten fired for that, and I've heard them in groups of settings talking about getting laid off. And I'm like, I'm not going to say that they didn't, but I know. It is a deeply shameful, it shouldn't be, but it's like a deeply shameful thing that people feel. People aren't telling that. They're not telling. Even if they know, even if you said, I just got fired for something I did wrong, there are people who will be in that room who will be like, oh, damn, that sucks. I got laid off. And they got fired for something they did, and they're still not. Even though you're being vulnerable and sharing it, they're not sharing it. Mm-hmm. So I want you to know that like the metrics that you are dealing with, that completely skewed. People are just not being honest.
Yeah. And then from the business perspective, I don't have ADHD, but I do have trouble focusing. Mm-hmm. And so I use a lot of tools to help me focus other than my mushroom coffee that Megan's scared of. I don't know why. It's not actual shrooms.
No, but mushrooms in itself, like if I think about mushrooms too hard, it's like chicken. I'm like, they're fungi.
I love mushrooms.
Me too. I like
mushroom
to eat them, but I can't.
Chicken together?
No, fantastic. Chicken mushroom. But I can't think about it too much.
Okay.
There was also there was I think a fungus or a mushroom on my lettuce yesterday, and it really freaked me out.
Yikes. But I use like Grammarly. For grammar stuff, I use this app that will read anything on screen to me. But the thing is, I have to be actually reading it and listening to it. I can't just read and I can't just listen, or I won't focus on it. If you work in data, are you using spreadsheets? There's so many formulas that check themselves. There's probably a spreadsheet that you just have to input the data, and then it will like let you know if this is actually adding up. I would say be proficient. If you are doing data stuff, you need to maybe take a course if you haven't, or if you're not utilizing the information that you may have in your brain on how to use all the shortcuts on Excel or whatever the program is that you're using. Because a lot of stuff I've learned about data entry is that if you know the formula, it can automate a lot of the things that you need to do. I saw this guy on Reddit talk about how he realized what the formula was for the data he had to do. And he had it was like a full-time job, and he could do his work in 15 minutes every day. So
don't tell AI about that.
Right. Don't tell. And like, he's like, I'm never telling my bosses. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
And he works from home.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah. I think like, and there might be other people that work in specifically data entry positions, because I don't work in those positions. So I don't know the shortcuts. Like I know the shortcuts for the type of work I do. Like even with when we do our spreadsheets for our accounting, like I've created a form where you're just inputting stuff and you can check to see if this is actually matches what's in the bank account. So like someone that is a professional in this industry, if you have those shortcuts and tips, please write in and share for Don't Blame Them.
Yeah. Mott's works in finance, and so he spends a lot of time doing spreadsheets and numbers and doing all of that kind of stuff. And that was like not, he was a creative writing major. Mm-hmm. Like that was like not his come up. It was something he kind of fell into when he was working at smaller companies where like he was good at this. And so he started doing this, and that's how he came through a less traditional way of it. But he uses formulas and all that stuff, but like it's something kind of similar to, this is how I compare it. It's like graphic design, where like in graphic design, you have to show at least 3 other people to make sure it doesn't look like a penis or a swastika. Mm-hmm. With numbers and stuff like that, after a while, like it starts to fuck with your head. And like there are times where you have to be like, I need to show 4 other people this to be like, hey, does this make sense now? Like I need to like take a step back with that. And double checking your work is something that like you got to do like always.
In any industry.
Yeah, exactly. Like not just this. And like even when the stakes are low or the stakes are high, like you have to double check your work and making sure you have enough time to double check your work. And so that's like the pacing of it all. But sometimes double checking your work can be, I'm going to send this to someone to be like, hey, just want to go over this, like, or saying, can I read this out loud to you? Like if you find that like, hey, I read it over like 3 times, I like looked through it like 3 times and like I didn't catch these things, there will be human error. There always will be human error. But similarly to like what they do when you read a book and sometimes you like pick up a paperback book and there's like a spelling error in it. You're like, what? How did this get past so many people? Usually those things don't get found, happen in my book, until you're reading it aloud for the audiobook. Like there are ways for you.
That happens as an audiobook director. I have not done one book where there haven't been several errors in it. And this has been seen by numerous people.
Yeah. So in general, I think to catch errors, the best thing you can do is to bring in another person or take it off of the page. Whether that means printing something out, whether that means like writing something by hand, doing
highlighting,
any of those things of like circling, color coding with all of that, doing anything that's like physically with your hand. That's also how like a trick for memorizing lines is like writing down all of your lines, not just looking at it on a screen, but finding a way that like, if the method of checking, because like I will be real with you, I don't believe you didn't double check. I don't believe that you just like raw dogged numbers one time and just submitted it off. Like I believe that like you did that and you didn't just like click enter with one equate, like whatever it was. Like I bet like you probably like, even if you don't think you did a thorough enough job, sometimes double checking can't be the same way that you inputted it. Like it has to be something else that doesn't, because it looks right and it feels right when you see it there. Otherwise, you would have changed something immediately and been like, oh, this doesn't add up. So you kind of have to put it into a different form to catch the things that you didn't catch when you're inputting it to start, I think.
Also, you mentioned that everyone that you've talked to thinks it also contributed to poor management. And that also makes a lot of sense to me because they didn't notice until August and you had done this in March.
Yeah, I'll be real. I don't really think that's your fault.
No. And I'm assuming that like you're working in an entry level type job because you're now, you said you took a step back and you're an assistant. So this would have been like the first non-assistant job. It sounds like that they probably gave a lot of responsibility to you for things that, and might have also blamed you for things that weren't directly your fault. And it took them that long to notice. It could have been somebody else's mistake, and somebody that was in a position higher than yours, and they needed somebody to pin it on.
Yeah, I firmly believe that unless you are you are like the boss, you are like the head of a company, or you are the head of a department where you are the final signature, I do not believe like a mistake that you make should be able, like, I do not think that it should have detrimental effects because like if you have a manager, their job is to go over, like, that's the part that I'm like, so then what are you getting paid for? Like, I don't think if you don't have shares, stocks in the company, I don't think if your name is not on the door, I do not think that a quote unquote mistake that you make at work when if nobody's life was at risk, yeah. I do not think that is entirely on you by any means. Like, there's a reason why they have humans doing this job. They need people to check things. And there's also a reason why it's not one person. You shouldn't be the inputter, the like interpreter, and like double check. You shouldn't be like the quality control at all. That should never be your job.
And that's the reason why, like, one aspect of my job, like even as producing with podcasts, I'm not the final person that does an edit unless it's just like, Fisting Friday or See You Next Tuesday. But like for the other shows and for our other shows and other shows that I work on, somebody else, Coco or Diane, are doing the first pass on it and I do the second. And I hear different things than what they heard because it's a check and balance type thing. Like you need more than one set of ears on it.
Yeah. And I think like in different like rounds of like corporate, this idea that like one person has to be able to like do everything. I'm like, all I'm hearing is that then the people who work above me don't have any skill set in this at all. And if it helps like the people who are saying that they got laid off and like, oh, none of these people have ever been fired or whatever for like merit-based kinds of things, I promise you they all are also included in the sense of like poor management was a theme in all of this. But don't be so hard on yourself. I know that it can be like a difficult feeling, but I think there's a fine line between wanting to be cognizant and like doing good work and like letting your anxiety about performing well prevent you from performing well and doing your best. So I think like, yeah, we're focusing on your mental health and like working on that is like a really great component that I don't think you can succeed so well at this job that it's going to like squash those like fears and anxieties without like help from your therapist.
Yeah.
This is like exceedingly common, like so common. And you're 24. This happens to people in like their 30s, their 40s. Like this is not.
I was once at an internship where man that we worked for, and I say that loosely because we weren't getting paid, he would yell at everybody so much because he was a bad manager that it scared us so bad that we would make mistakes.
Yep.
And if he'd been a better manager, we wouldn't make mistakes because he wouldn't be making us afraid. So we would be over anxiously checking things and making mistakes in that way. And then it got to the point where one person would do something and then have another person look at it in the same way that Megan was saying.
Yeah. This is just like such a thing that is constant. And there's like a lot of, I don't know, there's like such a huge push in like this like corporate centric world and like girl, like boss, like, you know, work, all of this kind of stuff, like climb the ladder, all of those things that I think it can feel like, oh, if I haven't achieved this by this age, that this is like a dunzo. The social media aesthetification of corporate America, as well as just like 9-to-5 jobs, I think is like exceedingly detrimental because there are people who have like full career shifts later in life. There are people get fired, like since jobs existed, people were getting fired in like their later in age stuff. Like anyone who's saying that this is like a straight trajectory is lying.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it feels like your friends are on that straight trajectory, it is not permanent, and they're sharing what they want to share with you.
Yeah. So take this time as an assistant I feel like an assistant is where you learn a lot of things that may have been skipped over. So take this time to learn, utilize the other people at the company that may be in the position that you want to be in and learn from them. Take online certifications. LinkedIn has a lot of them that can help you excel in your career. That way that you're so confident that you know what, it was Bob over there in accounting that looked at my data and he fucked something up. And then that's why it didn't get checked till months later.
Yeah. I think being an assistant is one of the best skills you can learn from that sets you apart. People skills. Mm-hmm. And like that confidence in people skills will take you farther than like anything else.
Yeah.
And I think this is like Melissa said, it's a really great time to focus on those things as opposed to like honing in and spiraling on like what could have been and like doing less at your other job. You're having opportunities to do way different things than you did at your last job. And you can build that skill set. And you're not losing the skill set that you had, and you'll move your way up back to that too.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take another break.
If you've ever shopped online, and let's face it, who hasn't? Chances are you've bought something from a business powered by Shopify. You know that purple Shop Pay button you see at checkout? The one that makes buying so incredibly easy? That's Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses sell with it, because Shopify makes things easier, and not just for shoppers. They make it easy to start and run your business. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. It gives you a leg up from day dot with hundreds of beautiful ready-to-go templates to express your brand style so you can get up and running fast. You can tackle your important tasks from inventory to payments to analytics and more, all in one place. You can also spread your brand's word with built-in marketing and email tools built for you to find and keep new customers. And remember that iconic purple Shop Pay button that's used by millions of businesses around the world? It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Your customers already know and love it. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. Shopify.com/realm.
Bros love reality TV. Have you ever noticed your boyfriend or husband in the background while you're trying to wind down and enjoy the housewives? They linger in the back of the room and ask questions, offer their opinions, but when you ask them to take a seat and watch with you, suddenly they're not interested. Well, here at Bros and Shows, we are tired of perpetuating that dudes don't love reality TV, because guess what? We do, and it's time we erase the stigma that comes with it. And we cover it all, from Real Housewives to The Bachelor, from Vanderpump Rules to The Traitors, and we're ready to give you our takes. Bros and Shows, a podcast from the bros for everyone, for whoever wants to listen.
Are you looking for a movie review show where the critic is at the top of his or her game, meticulously breaking down and explaining exactly why a film does or does not work? Well, good luck with the search, because we're having fun here on Adam Does Movies. Each and every week, I hit the big blockbusters, I cover the streamers, and I even toss in some movie news for fun. Check out the show on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and hopefully, we can do movies together. Hot.
And we're back from our break, and it is time for the next one. Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm 25, she, her, and I've been best friends with Anna, 25, she, her, since we were 5. We were really close. Even our parents are friends. But since 2021, we've drifted apart a bit. I think it's partly because we were in different life stages. I was in a long-term relationship, went to uni, and started working full-time, while she was single, traveling, and living a very different lifestyle. I've also struggled with my mental health since lockdown and found it hard to open up. But this year I'm focusing on putting myself out there and improving friendships. Drifting apart has been hard, and I've wanted to reconnect this whole time, but I didn't know how. Our friendship has always been pretty chill, not super emotional or expressive, kind of like how some guys are with their friends, for lack of a better term. We hang out maybe once every 1 to 2 months, usually as a trio with one of her close friends, who's now a mutual friend of mine too. But I'd really love to rebuild our one-on-one friendship. The thing is, it's been so long that I'm unsure how to go about it. Also, I'm getting married next year, and I would love to have one bridesmaid/maid of honor, and ideally it would be Anna. She's always been such a big part of my life, but I feel awkward bringing it up when we aren't that close anymore. I don't want it to seem like I'm only reaching out for that reason. She's made jokes about being a bridesmaid, so I think there's a possibility she's expected it. I'd love your advice on how to rekindle a long-term friendship and how to bring up the bridesmaid conversation. I think you're reading into this way too much.
So do I. I think as soon as you say, I want you to be my maid of honor, then everything will click and fall into place.
You're telling us that you have like a very chill friendship that's similar, more akin to a guy friendship. You only ever even regularly see each other 1 to 2 months. You have a very low maintenance friendship. I have very low maintenance friendships with a lot of people. My closeness to them has not wavered. Their closeness to me has not wavered. I think like where you can worry is if a shift comes from a very high demand relationship to a low demand relationship. A low demand relationship to like a slightly lower demand relationship, I get that. Like that's something that like I have friendships like that one of us is going through mental health stuff, one of us, whatever, that like we've talked less than we already talk, which is like not even that much, does not change how I feel about the friendship whatsoever.
Not at all. And that's the beauty of like real true friendships, is that you can pick up at any time. Like me and my friend Sarah, we don't see each other that often, but like that is one of my best friends. We both have very busy jobs. He's a doctor. Like it's hard for us to talk all the time, but like that's someone that I can always count on, and without a doubt she would be in my wedding. Like there's no doubt about that in my mind. My friend Catherine, she used to be somebody that I would see like every other day, but then she moved to Chicago. But like still, that is one of my best friends. It doesn't matter. Like Meg and I talk enough.
We don't stop talking.
We don't stop talking.
No.
Me and Avia don't stop talking. Like, and I just don't like, all of our friendships are different, but those are all my best friends.
Yeah. I think like I would also ask yourself and I don't mean this in like a negative way, what is the goal or what's the desire to have a maid of honor / bridesmaid? Like, what is that goal there? Because like, I don't think like, I think you'd be like, well, I don't want to reach out to think like that's just why I'm thinking of her. I think it's okay to be like, weddings can make people feel pretty nostalgic and like make them feel like want to celebrate with the people who they're closest to. And like, you're talking about love and people you care about and like makes you think of her. I don't think that that's like a negative kind of thing at all. I think the only reason why it would be negative is if like you weren't really interested in having a bridesmaid or a maid of honor, but like your fiance is having one. And so then you're like, well, now I feel like I have to rekindle. Like, I think that if the friendship is as like low maintenance as it has been, which there's no reason to I have no reason to believe that it has shifted and changed, that this person now wants a high demand friendship, and like you've somehow missed those clues and have failed them. They needed to have communicated that. But like, I, as someone who is also a low maintenance friend, straight up just being like, hey, love to hang out, like I have a question I want to ask you, that would be like, oh my God, what an exciting, wonderful thing. It would not be like, wow, you're just reaching out because you just want me to be a bridesmaid or a maid of honor. Unless you're asking me to like plan a bunch of shit and do all of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a selfish question. And the fact that you're only having one makes me think that like, you're not asking for an international bachelorette party or all of that stuff. You're not having like an expensive matching dresses and all of those kinds of things. Like, if there are not demands that you are making of her as a bridesmaid or a maid of honor, then I think like you can bring that up at the start. But if like you want her to wear an expensive dress that you want her to buy, if you want her to travel on her dime and all that kind of stuff, then I do think, yeah, rekindle the friendship and then make sure that you want to rekindle the friendship before you ask the question.
Yeah. And also like next time, like you be the one to initiate, hey, let's do a one-on-one. I miss like just hanging out with you one-on-one. And I don't think your other friend probably would feel left out, but like, it's not about them.
No. And also like they were a friend of like, it was a mutual friend who you got closer to, which like that happens. That's it. But I don't think that like, as someone who has been that friend who like gets, I feel like I
understand.
Yeah. Like I'm friendly with all of my friends, most that I know, like my friends' friends, but like I wouldn't feel any type of way about that. But I think like, I just want you to also make sure you're not romanticizing the friendship in a way that like maybe you wouldn't actually like. I don't want you to regret asking her to be a bridesmaid or a maid of honor. So I think I would probably hang out first and like double check that that's how you feel too, not just like making sure that she doesn't think that you're doing ulterior motives. Like, just hang out again.
But I don't see what's wrong with having like, that. How do I phrase this? Like,
that a wedding makes you think of this?
Yeah, like a wedding is like the time where you have your best bitch for it. And like, you're like, I want my best bitch for it. There she is.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I just think in the sense of like, if you haven't hung out in a while and if you're feeling nostalgic and you're acting on nostalgia, maybe not necessarily like if you haven't really if it's like you haven't hung out as much since 2021, like, are you forgetting reasons that you might like, did she post an RFK post? Like, is there something that like, that's what I'm saying. Hang out once again to make sure you actually want her to be your bridesmaid, maid of honor before you ask again, like before you ask her. But I think if you're like, no, there's really nothing. She never did anything. Like, she's the best. I still follow her on socials. She hasn't turned into like a right wing nut, whatever. Then like straight up just be like, hey, I have something to ask you. Like, let's hang. And then like send like a, champagne and a little ring emoji. I would be stoked to get that, depending on who it's from. But you're friends. I think you need to remind yourself that you're friends.
It just made me think of actually when you were like, why was that reason why did we stop hanging out in 2021?
Well, I was thinking about that. Where I'm like, remind yourself when you were having, you're like,
that's how that's how it was chatting. This is fun. And then
sometimes you have to remind yourself. And like, sometimes people go offline and you're like, oh, I forgot you were really on Facebook.
Yep.
And you're not anymore. I forgot I blocked you.
There was another friend that I was recently hanging out with where I we were friends, and then I stopped hanging out with them, and then I hung out with them again, and I was like, oh, you're just annoying. That's why I stopped, and I forgot.
Yep. It happens.
Yeah. All right. We'll take another break, and when we get back, we'll get into the last one.
My name is Troy LaValle, and I'm the host of the Glass Cannon Podcast. This is a podcast where my friends and I sit around and play role-playing games and record it. Through improvisation, using comedy and drama, we take the rules of whatever game we're playing and we turn it into appointment television. It truly is infectious fun. We travel the whole country playing rock clubs, turning games like this into a spectator sport. So please, check it out, the Glass Cannon Podcast. If you want some joy in your life, give it a listen.
How does weather work? What's the secret to having a great conversation? How do most wealthy people get that way? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. Each episode covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and listen, we've got over 1,000 episodes, over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know, wherever you listen.
In humanity's search for other worlds, we found something unexpected.
It's a massive collection of tiny pocket realities, and each one is a story.
But when we explored those stories, things didn't go as planned.
Mr. Darcy!
I am Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Ah, humbug.
What happens when classic stories go wrong? I go in to fix them.
I am Dracula, and I bid you welcome.
Subscribe and listen to Muse, the latest audio drama from Dayton Writers Movement and Realm.
We're back, and it is time for the last final.
All right, this is from someone 28, she, her. I broke up with my boyfriend of 3.5 years 4 months ago. It was rough and sucked, but to be honest, it was over a year before that. I immediately got on the apps, got a life coach, and joined a few local activities clubs. I'm completely over my ex. In March, I matched with this guy on Bumble, and we instantly clicked. We have a genuine connection, and I really like him. He's different than guys I've dated in the past. We're kind of in different spots in our lives. He's never been in a serious relationship before, but we definitely aren't casually dating. We've been hanging out 3 to 4 times a week and have had sex. We made it official earlier this month, and now they're asking me to meet their parents. I'm not ready for this at all. We've only been together for 2 months and have just been official for 2 weeks, so this seems way too soon. Am I overthinking this?
Sorry.
I think they might be way more invested in this than I am. Yes, I'm healed from my ex, but this is moving too fast. I like them a lot, but we haven't said I love you yet, and I don't think I'm there yet either. Go with that.
Wee, freak alert, freak, run. No, I cannot stress to you enough. Wanting to introduce you to the parents too soon, I think is one of the greatest red flag indicators. No.
Maybe this is the first person that they've been in love with ever, and they're like, gotta lock this down.
It's been 2 weeks. You fucking freak. Weirdo alert. Weirdo alert. Weirdo alert. Lock them up. Like, no.
Yeah, you're having fun. This is your first relationship after being in a very long relationship. And that does not mean that the next person is the right person for you. So if you're feeling like this is too much, it's too much. Go with that gut feeling. Just because he's different than any guy you've known before doesn't mean that's a good different.
Great fucking point. Sometimes different is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes different is scary. Sometimes
sometimes different is just different, and it's good until you realize, actually, nope.
Oh, what a nice change of pace. Actually, I hate this pace.
Yeah.
Get me off this fucking treadmill. Older than you, younger than you, regardless. I think as adults, first of all, you hang out 3 to 4 times a week at 28. I believe you, but like, does he Does he have a job? Like, what do you do? Like, what are you doing this off?
Maybe they both work in the creative industry and part of their hangouts is sitting together and writing.
Yeah, so you should never do that. You should run. Like, I can't stress enough, run. If it's like that kind of, no, like, this is a lot to be hanging out with someone when you are not in, if you tell me he's your neighbor, it'll make a lot more sense. But like, this is like how much you hang out in college or like at summer camp or in high school. Like when you are in a forced proximity, like 3 to 4 times a week, I could see you hanging out for the first 2 months. But in general, that's a lot to hang out in the first 2 months. That's like an alarming amount. To me, that's a love bombing amount to hang out in the first 2 months. And then on top of that, like to then like lock it down after it's only been 2, like that is, if I had a friend who was like, oh yeah, I'm dating someone. And like, we just matched on a dating app. And then 2 months later, like, that's my boyfriend. I'd be like, whoa.
Slow down there.
Slow the fuck down. Like, it is just, it's too much. It's too much. It's a lot. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. And I know that like meeting the parents seems like a very like innocent, innocuous kind of thing.
It's not.
It's not.
That's a huge deal.
Well, I mean in the sense of being like, well, that's not like a nefarious thing that I know guys who have asked so many women to come home and meet their parents. Like that it is not like that's a thing they do to get close to prove how serious and mature and how close they are. And like it, because you're like, no way that this person would introduce this many people that there's no way that this would be something that they routinely do is like get into relationships this quick, love bomb, and then introduce to parents. People do that. People do that. People also will say that when you're like, I've had guys who've been like, I really want to introduce you to my parents. I introduce you to my parents. And then I never hear from them like a week later. And it's like,
question. If y'all are hanging out 3 to 4 times a week, are his parents coming into town and this is going to interrupt one of your hangouts? And he's like, I mean, you're already going to be here, so you might as well meet them.
I don't know.
I'm just asking the
I
writer.
mean, to be fair, if you meet them, you'll be able to get a feeling incredibly quickly if they have done this before.
Yep.
But I also think that like, you know, you've got what, 48 calendar days before he shows up with a box and a U-Haul and says, I'm moving in. Like,
or a ring.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it at this pace, it doesn't slow down from here.
This is your husband.
Yeah. No, you've got 3 kids. He's got your retirement. Like, unless he's like incredibly wealthy and like 401, like there is like something there to this. I just think that this is like way, way, way too fast to be moving. And either like he knows that and like this is his MO, or he doesn't know that because he's not been in a serious relationship. But like, you know that because you have been in a relationship before. Like, you know this is fast, and maybe that's not necessarily what you're consciously picking up on. But like the locking it down relationship, like that's already fast. I also think like at a certain point, like if you're hanging out so much, I'm not one to be like, well, you don't even need to define it. We're hanging out all the time. Like, why would we need to say what we are? No, I think it's important to like establish what you are. But I think in general, most people who are like looking for most people will be measured. They'll hold themselves back. They won't try and see you all of the time and do all of that because like it is a lot. When it comes on that strong, it burns fast and it burns bright. And I think a lot of the time, like when Mats and I were like very, very, very good friends, like one of my best friends before we started dating, we like started talking less when we started dating. Like you have to, in general, it is just much safer to pace yourself for your own emotional well-being and for the other person's. Like this is just like, I feel like you're going to be like listed in like the surviving members when his like grandmother dies. Like it's just a lot.
If you were excited about this, then I would be excited for you. You're not excited about this? That is what you should go with.
Yeah. It's your conscience. Like it is like that's your gut telling you. And you're writing to us.
Mm-hmm. You want us to tell you, slow down, Savannah.
You have our permission. And you don't even have to slow down. You can hop out of the moving car. Stop, drop, and roll.
All right. Well, that's the end of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Before we depart you, I'm going to read some reviews from Spotify.
So long, farewell.
This is from the episode, My Boyfriend is Hitting on My Friend? ? My parents have a huge collection of vinyl. My favorite's probably Blue by Joni Mitchell.
Oh.
You didn't put the L on there, so it says Michelle.
Michelle, je m'aime Michelle.
And that was from Leah Bryn. Then Nicole said, so now I get to start a new addiction to vinyls. Thank God I started budgeting. Have fun.
Have so much fun.
And then KG550 said, something I learned from collecting vinyl is you don't want to variant collect. Don't buy the album right away unless you love the color, because the last few years, artists have been dropping deluxe versions with more songs. I love Sabrina Carpenter, but waited to buy her Short and Sweet album. I ended up getting the Pro Deluxe version from her store, and it was stunning. I personally, and this is me not reading, I personally don't care about the color at all. I'm there to listen to how good it sounds.
And I love a color.
Mm-hmm. So that is all. Now we can wrap it up, baby.
Wonderful, amazing, lovely. We hope you all enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to write in, submit in for Don't Blame Me. You need some advice. You can also write in if you have advice to give any of the people who have been on this episode or prior episodes. You've got personal experience, anything like that. We can use that for our Don't Blame Thems. Write that in. You can fill out the form same way. And if you have an update, you've been on this episode, you were on a different episode, and you're like, oh, stuff has happened. We have things to tell you. We would love to hear. Give us an update. All of the ways that we told you how to contact us at the beginning, just do the update of those.
Join us tomorrow for Fisting Friday. Then have a great weekend. And we'll be back on Monday for But Am I Wrong? Tuesday for See You Next Tuesday. Wednesday, use as your catch-up day. And then Thursday is where you can't blame us, because this is Don't Blame Me, presented by Sister Sign Productions. I added the productions. It's not in our name, but it should have been.
You're totally right.
And I think we would have been able to get Sister Signs then if we would have done that, but whatever. But I like Sister Sign.
Me too.
Yeah.
Also, it's just an S. We already have 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Goodbye. This is a Sister Sign production hosted by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Let's clear this up right now. Bros love reality TV. You may think it's all sports all the time, but have you ever noticed your boyfriend or husband in the background while you're trying to wind down and enjoy the Housewives? Oh, I know the type. They linger in the back of the room and ask questions, offer their opinions, but when you ask them to take a seat and watch with you, suddenly they're not interested. Well, here at Bros and Shows, we are tired of perpetuating that dudes don't love reality TV, because guess what? We do, and it's time we erase the stigma that comes with it. And we cover it all, from Real Housewives to The Bachelor, from Vanderpump Rules to The Traitors, and we're ready to give you our takes. We aren't here to step on any toes, we just want to join the conversation. Bros and Shows, a podcast from the bros for everyone, for whoever wants to listen.
Are you looking for a movie review show where the critic is at the top of his or her game, meticulously breaking down and explaining exactly why a film does or does not work? Well, good luck with the search, because we're having fun here on Adam Does Movies. I talk to you like we just got done seeing a movie together, giving you the pros and cons, and I'm digging in the trenches, in the mud and muck, on streaming services, telling you which films are worth your time. Each and every week, I hit the big blockbusters, I cover the streamers, and I even toss in some movie news for fun. Because this show is Adam Does Movies. I'm obviously Adam, I probably should have led with that, but perhaps I have led you to check out the show on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and hopefully we can do movies together. Hot.
Oh, hey there, it's a promo for a podcast. Great! Exactly what you want to hear when you're settling down to listen to the podcast you actually want to listen to. Well, give me just a few seconds and then you can go listen to whatever it is you're listening to, your true crime podcast hosted by former child actors or reality stars, whatever it is. My name is Troy LaValle and I'm the host of the Glass Cannon Podcast. This is a podcast where my friends and I sit around and play role-playing games and record it. Through improvisation, using comedy and drama, we take the rules of whatever game we're playing, and we turn it into appointment television. That's the best way I can explain it. It truly is infectious fun. We travel the whole country playing rock clubs, turning games like this into a spectator sport. So please, check it out, the Glass Cannon Podcast. If you want some joy in your life, give it a listen.